The command center of the Allied Galactic Fleet hung in silence. Admiral Laurie stared at the tactical display, his four eyes blinking in sequence, a nervous habit he had never managed to overcome in his 3 centuries of military service. "We've lost the Orion arm," reported Captain Tev. "The Sworn has consumed another 17 systems in the past rotation." Laurie's scales shifted color to a pale blue of despair. The Devourer, a hive-minded entity of billions of biomechanical units, had carved through half the galaxy in less than a decade. The most advanced weapons of the 37 allied species had barely slowed its advance. "Perhaps," whispered Grand Strategist Mech from the corner, her voice like wind through crystal, "it is time we call upon the quarantined ones." The command center erupted in protests. The humans? They're savages. Their homeworld is still under observation ban for a reason. They nearly destroyed themselves countless times. Admiral Laurie raised a limb for silence. They also survived those near extinctions, every time. The tactical display showed another system blinking out. 70 billion souls extinguished in moments. "Make the call," he ordered. Earth had been under observation since the species had first split the atom. The galactic community had watched with horror as humans had repeatedly brought themselves to the brink of annihilation, only to somehow pull back and continue advancing. When first contact was finally made, humans were restricted from expanding beyond their solar system. They were too unpredictable, too adaptable, too dangerous to be allowed unfettered access to the stars. Their creativity was channeled into entertainment and theoretical research that other species found too chaotic to pursue. But now, that chaos might be exactly what was needed. The human delegation arrived within 3 rotations, remarkably fast given the distance. Their ship was crewed by galactic standards, all sharp angles and exposed machinery where elegant curves should be. Admiral Laurie greeted the 5 representatives in the diplomatic chamber. They were smaller than he expected, soft-bodied and apparently fragile. "We understand you have a problem," said the lead human, a female who introduced herself as Commander Daniels. Her smile showed too many teeth, something about an unstoppable enemy consuming worlds. Laurie gestured to the tactical display. "The Devourer adapts to every strategy we deploy. Our most powerful weapons merely slow it temporarily before it evolves countermeasures." The humans studied the display with unsettling intensity. One of them, a male called Jackson, began laughing. "You've been fighting it like it's a conventional enemy," he said. "That's your mistake. It operates like a virus," added another human Taurus, "but you're treating it like an army." Daniels looked at Laurie with those disconcertingly direct eyes. "We need full access to your technology, a fleet of ships we can modify, and complete operational autonomy." "That is unprecedented," Laurie replied. "So is extinction," said Daniels. The Allied Council debated for a full rotation, while 3 more systems fell to the Devourer. In the end, desperation won out, that humans were granted their requests. What followed shocked even the most pessimistic council members. The humans dismantled perfectly good warships, rebuilt them with seemingly random modifications. They developed weapons that violated several galactic treaties. They deployed tactics that no sane military commander would consider. "They're not even testing these modifications," whispered Captain Tev as they watched the humans work. "How do they know it will function?" "They don't," replied Mech. "That's what makes them terrifying. They improvise." 6 rotations later, the modified fleet engaged the Devourer at the edge of the Cygnus Arm. The first wave of ships didn't fire weapons at all. Instead, they broadcast complex mathematical patterns on all frequencies. "We're confusing its distributed intelligence," explained Torres from the command ship, "creating cognitive dissonance across its network." The second wave deployed what the humans called viral payloads, self-replicating code that infiltrated the Devourer's communication pathways. The third wave carried weapons that targeted specific frequencies the Devourer used for coordination, creating expanding pockets of disruption. Admiral Laurie watched in astonishment as the seemingly unstoppable enemy began to fragment, individual units attacking each other in confusion. "Now we drive the wedge deeper," said Daniels, her expression unnervingly eager. "Launch the converter ships." These vessels, originally medical ships, had been modified to capture Devourer units and reprogram them. The reprogrammed units then spread the changes to others, creating a cascading effect. You're using its own adaptation against it, realized Mech with growing admiration. Jackson grinned. We called it fighting fire with fire where we come from. Within 20 rotations, the Devourer's advance had not only been halted, but reversed. The Allied forces, now integrated with human tactical teams, were reclaiming systems thought lost forever. In a private meeting, Admiral Laurie confronted Daniels with the question that had been troubling the Allied Council. How did your species develop such effective strategies against an enemy you had never encountered before? Daniel's expression grew solemn. Humanity's history is filled with existential threats, most of our own making. Plagues, nuclear weapons, climate collapse, artificial intelligence revolutions. Each time, we adapted or died. She gazed out at the stars. We've spent thousands of years thinking about how to survive the unsurvivable. Your Devourer is just another apocalypse scenario to us, and not even the most creative one our fiction writers have imagined. 3 cycles later, the remnants of the Devourer were contained in isolated pockets, studied by joint research teams. The quarantine on Earth was officially lifted, and humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Alliance. At the ceremony, Grand Strategist Mech approached Admiral Laurie with an observation. We feared them for their capacity for destruction, she said, watching the human delegation mingle with representatives from across the galaxy. But we failed to recognize that the same traits that make them dangerous, their adaptability, their creative chaos, their willingness to take unfathomable risks, also make them uniquely suited to face extinction and refuse it. Laurie's scales shifted to a contemplative green. The universe is not always a rational place. Perhaps it needs irrational defenders. Indeed, said Mech. When the battle seems lost, call in the humans, finished Laurie.